Hello everybody, welcome back to Minecraft. My name is Sir Nipplington and today we're going to be having a look at this monstrosity, the button. But before everybody becomes overwhelmed with all the redstone involved, I'm going to break it up into 3 different parts, if I can get up in the air, and we can look at them individually so we know how everything works, and then we can proceed in building her. Consider this to be the heart and soul of the button. When items travel around in these hoppers, the comparators on corresponding sides pick up their signal, and one side will tell you where the light is in correspondence to the colours, and on the other side they will dictate which piston to push up in order to spit you out your corresponding coloured block. So you know what belt you're wearing. This isn't what it actually looks like in the button. As you can see, the hoppers actually travel around the comparators and repeaters. However, in order to show everybody how it works, I feel that this is a lot simpler to understand. Now, this complicated array of comparators down the bottom here as a pulse extender is simply here to turn this redstone torch off for long enough so that all of the items travel back around the hoppers and into their correct spots to light up all of the lamps again, resetting the entire system. And at the same time, before that's actually done, it'll also set off this observer, which will trigger this redstone line, which will activate one of these corresponding droppers, shooting you out your corresponding color. Lastly, we have this timing system, which is simply one etho clock, which runs down and sends a signal through into this redstone torch, which will turn off one of the hoppers, allowing one of the items to travel through the system to count the clock down. As you know, once the clock has counted all the way down to beyond red, the game is over. So, when the items get to just beyond the green here, this system here will kick in, slowing the clock down by half, giving players now twice as much time in order to get these last 3 items. A few essential notes I need to make. The items that you put into these hoppers must be non-stackable. You can use shovels, pickaxes, you can use shears, anything that is non-stackable. If you do use stackable items, this torch, not this torch over here, but this torch here will not turn off long enough to collect all of the items back and reset the system. So make sure you use non-stackable items for all of these hoppers. By the way, the amount of non-stackable items you will need is 5 per each hopper. There is 13 lamps, which means you'll have 13 hoppers, times by 5, you'll need 65 non-stackable items. When it comes to the timing system, we will need 2 pieces of any stackable item will do. Let me just turn this off so we can see them. In this hopper circle just here. And over in this etho clock, you will need approximately, now this is up to the user's preference. I believe Mumbo used 3 stacks of X. I would like to use 4, making the game go for a little bit longer. And with one final ado, I'd just like to say, before you go ahead and start building this redstone project, make sure you have the space. There is nothing worse than starting a project only to find out that you cannot complete it due to limitations within your space. You're going to need at least 16 blocks across just for the redstone. If you want to put a building around it, you're going to have to accommodate for that also. Taking another thing into account is that this is the face, so make sure if you're building it in the side of a hill or the side of your house that you have at least 18 or so blocks across so that it will all fit in. Another one is it must be 12 deep. And lastly, it has to be at least 10 high. As you can see, I've got mine on 11, so that way the button is not sitting on the ground. However, this redstone can sit on the ground, and it is not vital that these are raised. So, now that I've finished with that last to-do, let's crack onto it. Like everything in Minecraft, there's no right or wrong way to go ahead with the task. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to start at the bottom. Right, so there you go guys, the button. Thank you, and I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video, and I'll see you all next time. But seriously, once you've got your button down, you'll want to start placing down your platform for all of your redstone, which should look something like this. Now we can put down all of our redstone where it all needs to go. Oops, yes, one does go there. That's alright. Now, you need to make sure that your comparators face in this direction. So we're going to put our 5 comparators in that direction, we're going to put 5 more in that direction, and 5 more in this direction. Now we can put down that block here, which will be powered so that this redstone line can go forth here. And we do the same on this side as well. Now that we've got our ultra pulse extender, we're going to need to connect it all up. So we're going to put down some blocks like these with redstone line, with a redstone repeater with 1 tick on it. Next you're going to want to, whoopsies, not put that there, you're going to want to power this with said, and you will next put down a block here, 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 and here. You do not want this redstone line to interfere with this, so you're going to want to put your repeaters here and here. Now, none of that should affect. Oh, it turned off. Haha. Now none of that there should affect each other. As we can see, I'll push this line, and this torch here will turn off for a considerable amount of time. Once this pulse extender runs out, it'll no longer power this pulse extender, which means the whole system will turn off. As you can see, there goes the first pulse extender, and if we wait a little bit longer, the second one will also cut out. So now that we've got our redstone here, in order to turn the system off, we should probably give it a system to turn off. Let me just quickly grab what we're going to need, which is going to be some hoppers. The direction of the hoppers is very important to the whole system. If they don't run in the correct direction, the system will not work. We're going to need to have 5 hoppers going in this direction and 16 going in this direction. Just like that. So all the hoppers at the front are going to be going into each other this direction. Now it's time for a whole bunch more redstone. If we start putting in a whole bunch, actually before the redstone, we need to put somewhere for the redstone to go. So I'm just going to quickly put down all of these blocks so we have somewhere to put the redstone. I'm using different colored blocks to try and differentiate between the few systems that are involved, just to try and make things a little bit clearer. Once we've got down that scaffolding or the blocks there, we can now place in a whole many load of comparators. There should be 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. After we put down all of their comparators, we need then more repeaters. Again, 13 repeaters going in this direction. After you've put down the repeaters, just run one redstone line all the way across to here. So that's most of the redstone for this, well, it's all the redstone for this platform here. In front of these comparators here, you're going to want to place down your redstone lamp. When items are in these hoppers, they are going to tell the comparator to tell the lamp to light up. Now, before we put down that redstone lamp there, we're probably going to want to put down these blocks here, which I temporarily forgot about. And now that I've got them in, that will all work fantastic. Let's just run a quick test. I'm going to quickly put a block into here, and yes, all of the lamps light up and it does all the what it wants to do. And eventually it should make its way back into this hopper and stay until the system has been reset. Personally, I find this next bit to be a bit of a pain. Not huge, but if you don't place everything down in the correct order, it's going to make it hard because you won't be able to get in your repeaters into the right spots, which I'll show you in just a second what I mean. Once we put in those blocks there, we can put these blocks here, and we'll have our infrastructure to place down all of our redstone. This will probably be the only time I will recommend an order in which to place down certain blocks. If you try to do it in a different order, it's going to make it really hard to put all of these repeaters into their correct spots. Because, oops, make sure you don't accidentally overtick these repeaters as well. Now that we've got all of our repeaters in, that's probably the hard part done. More blocks. Once you've placed down all of your blocks and repeaters, it should look, well, exactly like this. Now if we grab ourselves some torches and some pistons, we can put all of their pistons directly above these repeaters, which, there we go, like thus. And the redstone torches will go on the back of all of these blocks just here, and the tops of all these blocks right here, and that one as well. And there we are, there's most of that in place. Guess what? More blocks. And here we are with, well, not the final lot of blocks, but for this area anyway. We'll put a big long redstone line up the top here with many repeaters that will, once these pistons extend, these repeaters will be able to power this block, which on top of we're going to put all of our droppers, which do not go here but here. Now just find the middle of all of your droppers and grab yourself a hopper here, and we're going to not place it in that direction because that's not the direction it goes. Place these hoppers into this direction. If I put things in the right spot, that'd be fantastic. So now, when these droppers shoot up their items, which are going to correspond to the colours of the lamps that are lit up, it'll shoot them into the hoppers, out the front, and be spat out at the player. Which won't work until we actually get a signal to this line here. In order to do that, we're going to want to grab a cyan terracotta, put it on top of this torch, which is where we will put our observer and our sticky piston, like thus. And then lastly, on top of that, in order to activate it, we'll just put that one there. So once this torch turns on, it'll extend this piston, giving a 1 tick pulse all the way through here, and it'll hit one of these repeaters. And because only one of these blocks will be extended, only that one dropper will release its item. It is at this point that you realize, wow, I've almost finished this. Now I've just got to put in the timing circuit. The timing system is going to go roughly about here. This is the torch that will dictate the countdown. When this torch turns off, it'll release an item out of that hopper. They will all follow the line, and eventually these lamps will all turn off. All thanks to this torch. Very important. And this torch will get its power through the clock, which is going to go just above it here. But before it gets its power, we're going to need to give it something to power it. So we'll put one more block here. We will then power this with 2 ticks, and we will put a redstone line here, which will be powered from the observer coming down from the etho clock, which goes right about here. So I'll quickly just build up this etho clock and get back to you. Once you've got your etho clock built up, you want to put in around 3 to 4 stacks of your stackable items in there to make the clock do what it's got to do. I've gotten the wrong spot here. If we now grab ourselves a sticky piston and an observer, we can put them right here and go up a little bit and put this one here, which once this redstone block is pushed across from all the items coming in, it'll push down the observer, which will send a tick through and release one item through the hoppers. I think now I might actually, yep, there we go, we've just witnessed that. So now I might actually put in our 65 non-stackable items into the hopper, which will bring all of our lamps on. You ready? You ready? I put in all the non-stackable items. So now all of the lamps light up, and the boys light up, light up, light up, as all the items come around and they make their way through. Now eventually, once all the items are through, we should have no stackable items in this hopper. Just give it a second. It's taking a little bit longer than I anticipated, but there we go. Now that's all empty, and there should be 5 in this one, which would mean there's 5 in every single one of them until we come down to the last one. Sweet! Another preference of the user would be adding in the second clock, which goes about here, to slow down this clock here, the etho clock, which we're going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and put approximately here. This torch here, once turned on, because there's no items in this one, will slow the clock down by half, giving you more time to grab the last few. So let me just quickly place down all of the blocks in the positions they need to go, and then we can start putting all of the redstone down. Once you've got your blocks in this pattern here, we can put down a redstone signal, so when that torch turns on, it'll turn this one off, which will then allow the items, the 2 items that we're going to put into these hoppers to, well, do their thing by going around. Like this, we'll put a comparator just here, and then we'll put a torch here with a redstone signal here, and 2 repeaters. Now, as I just said, yep, that'll turn on, that'll turn off, that'll allow items to go around, and that will start. I'll just show you real quick how it looks. So now, as it's doing the ticky ticky, these items are going to be traveling at a much slower rate. We're almost done, boys and girls. It appears that all we really need to place in now is the block distribution system that will tell you what color you've just pushed. In order to get that one, we're going to want to put probably items in the correct spots. If we line up this block with these hoppers at the back, at the same height, we can put down our dropper right here, and then funnel in, oops, I've started to start funneling in all of these hoppers, like thus. There we go. All these hoppers should face into this middle one, all these doing the same, and they will all go down. We don't need that hopper there. And they'll all go down into this dispenser. Sorry, dropper. These are all droppers, not dispensers. So now we just need to, once the item gets into this dropper, well, power it. There's probably 101 different ways that you could power this this dropper here, but we're just going to use this method right here. Once I get all these redstone blocks in the correct position, these aren't redstone blocks, these are blue concrete blocks. Once I get all these blocks in the right positions, I'm going to put the comparator here. We're going to put a redstone dust just there. We'll put another redstone dust there. We'll put another one here, and a repeater coming out there. Now theoretically, if I put an item into here, it should spit it out. There we go, spat it out. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Congratulations. You've pretty much built everything there is on the button. There's only one last thing to do. If I can make sure I get the correct blocks out. Now the last thing, well, you can do this first. There's no order. We've been through this. Once you've got all of your colored blocks into play here, which I'm going to be using this setup. I don't want a blue one, I want a purple one. Put the purple one here and the pink one here. So these are the colors I'm using. Hopefully this next bit isn't going to be too complicated, but just quickly walk you through it. When this hopper has got an item in it, which it does, it's got 2 items in it, it will power this repeater and power this line. This line now will dictate this over here. Just because I know how to build it doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I have completely missed an entire line of redstone. Let me just quickly put that in. I hope this doesn't actually ruin anybody's understanding of how it works, but you need to have this redstone line in here. That way, like it's meant to, the only piston that is extended is the last one. So, when this lamp is on, this piston will extend. I'll quickly take out this items here, there. As you can see, the next one goes across, and again the next one. So what that means is you want to put your colors into the droppers in the opposite direction. Having a quick look at all the blocks we need, I will be right back once I've got my inventory full. I'd recommend putting in at least a stack into each dropper you've got. So that lamp over there is going to be pink, meaning the first ones here are going to be pink, pink, purple, that's it. You have successfully just built the button. So for one first test, or last test, we're just going to quickly spit myself out my pink belt, badumph, which is right here. And the system has been reset, ready for the next player. All you got to do now is put a nice pretty building around it so it doesn't look so daunting, and maybe so people don't tinker and fiddle with it. Well, thank you all for coming down. I hope you had fun and learnt lots. I hope that you've been completely overwhelmed with all of the redstone, and I hope to see you all next time on another video on Minecraft. Cheers! Finally, before we wrap everything up, if you really did enjoy that video, please hit the thumbs up, and if you really enjoyed it, subscribe and hit the bell. That'd be fantastic, especially if you want to see some more great content.